Got a special group with us today from Southern Middle School, the student government, and I've asked Miss Trinity Melton if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we'd all please stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll just announce this is a first in Pulaski County government. We are actually live today on Facebook, so we want to welcome our guests that are watching our court meeting via Facebook. So hopefully that'll work out well and make it these meetings more accessible to our public. So I want to thank Ross Corder for making that possible for us today. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. You all received a copy of those. Any changes or suggestions, or will?
Yeah, there was. Number 2, it just says Meadow Drive does connect to both property owners. That just needs to say Meadow Drive does connect to Weddle property.
Property? Is that what you said, Weddle?
Yes.
Motion to accept with changes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And as I've already mentioned, our Southern Middle School student government's here today. Would anybody like to address the court or say anything on behalf of the students? I'll give you a minute or two to talk about what you do if you'd like, or if you just want to observe, we'll let you do that as well. If you'd come to the microphone for us, please.
Well, I'm the president of the student government, and what we do at Southern Middle School, we basically just make improvements for our school. And right now we're working on sayings that we're putting up on the wall, and we're also making a bench that we're going to put up in the front of the school that's made from bottle caps that we collect from the school. So we just make improvements for the school.
Fine.
Good deal. Thank you.
Nice.
We sure appreciate y'all taking time to be with us today and appreciate your willingness to serve in your local schools. I know each of our magistrates here and our elected officials also have that same spirit, so you get a little taste of what it is to be an official. Appreciate your all's willingness. So thank you for being here today. Next item on the agenda will be our old business. We have some road additions and removals. We have had road hearings this week, and we have had committees to look at these roads, so we'll need to address these individually. We have first in the second district, we have Jenny Bob Lane, and each of these there was no opposition present at the road hearings, the ones we're voting on today. So we have Jenny Bob Lane to be brought into the county road system.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Next one, it would be Old Clifty Road Extension.
Motion.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Judge?
Yes, sir.
One thing we don't have identified on Wilson, is that conforming or non-conforming?
On which one?
Non-conforming, right?
On Old Clifty?
Yeah. Okay, okay.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed? And then the next one would be C, Wilson Lane.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then finally, in the second district, we have Ernest Lane.
What happened to hearing, anything?
There was, I get my notes here, Glenn, there was no opposition, I know.
Okay, that's fine.
It's all three. Three of them's all same road there, Glenn.
Okay, motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, then we have, in the 5th district, we have Longwood Drive.
Motion.
We have a motion, Mr. Wilson, second, Mr. Maxey. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Then we have one road that is for removal from the county road system. Basically, this is the end of Northwood Drive. When they put new Highway 27, they took some property, and once the road was finished, the road has been closed between the road and the railroad track. So this gentleman has asked us to take that back out of the system, and it would revert back to the property owner.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Then we have, we need to appoint some road committees to look at a few roads here. I've got an addition in the 1st and a removal in the 1st, and then I've also got an addition in the 4th. So I need first two of you to be willing to look at Cumberland Trace in the 1st district.
I will. I'll go also.
Mr. Strunk and Mr. Maxey. And while you're there, would you look at taking South Falls and Canyon Falls out of road system? Then in the 4th district, we have Deer Run Lane to be brought into the county road system.
Do we need a motion or anything on that?
On the committees? No, just, right now, you all will just go look at it, and then we'll have the hearing. Deer Run Lane in the 4th district, if I'd have a couple of volunteers to look at that.
I will.
Wilson, Mr. Wilden, is that who I heard? Appreciate you all doing that. Then we'll set up our hearings once we hear from you. Next item on the agenda then is the second reading of our ordinance to create the Somerset Pulaski County Economic Development Authority, otherwise known as SPEDA. We had our first reading, and now we have our second reading. You need to say anything about that, BJ?
The first reading took place on November 13th of 2017, and basically it's an ordinance relating to the adoption of the interlocal agreement between the city of Somerset, Kentucky and Pulaski County, Kentucky to create the Somerset Pulaski Economic Development Authority, SPEDA, pursuant to KRS 154.50-301 through 154.50-346.
The city's already passed theirs.
City passed their last meeting, so. At this point, we would pass our second reading, and then we'll sit down, and I guess the mayor and I will come up with board appointments for you all to approve.
Motion.
We have a motion,
Second.
a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
There's a typo here that needs to be changed.
We might need to revote them. Oh, you're right there. It does, on the first page, item 2, it says County Judge Executive Stephen B. Kelly Girdler. We need to strike Girdler from that, I guess. We probably need to revote with the change here with that. Do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for your hard work there. I know we've been working on this for a couple of years, trying to get this moving, so I appreciate the fact that we're going on forward with this. All right, that'll bring us then to our department reports. I don't think Sheriff or the jailer are with us today. Our coroner, Mr. Strunk.
recruit some MEs from this smart group of folks here. I know they're about the smartest and the brightest down there at Southern Middle, so there's a shortage in MEs in our state, as everybody knows, and forensic pathologists and all of those, and we would hope that these young people would take advantage of becoming some of those someday. Let me give just a little bit of summary of our year-end report. I don't have it all totaled yet, but our homicides are up for the year, unfortunately. Our suicides are up, but our drug overdoses is down for the year, and I attribute that to Narcan and making it available to our police officers and to our EMS. And so a lot of folks are ODing, but they're getting to them with the Narcan and saving a lot of lives. So we've had the biggest year we've ever had. We're at 431 for the year already, 431 death investigations. The biggest year we had was 2015 when we had 428, and we're going to surpass that. Last year in the month of December we did 55 death investigations, so we could easily be upward of 475 for the year. So it's been a big year at the coroner's office, thanks to all my deputies and the guys that's worked very hard.
Thank you. Linda, do you have anything for us today? Stacy, Public Safety? Road Department, Jordan, do you have anything for us today?
First thing being approval of your all's road work.
I've got a copy of your road work request. Any motion or second?
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And second, I guess we'll need to go ahead and approve rock for January, 3,000 ton of various rock.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, just while you're here, I just want the public to know that, you know, the possibility of snow is likely today, and probably not much, but just be aware that when it does snow, we will be doing everything within our power to keep your roads clear. If you have an emergency, please call 911 if you need something done. They will be the best way to coordinate efforts to get to you. And I would please ask that if you don't have to be on the roads, please stay off the roads, because one thing that makes the county road department's job difficult is when somebody gets out onto a road and gets stuck, then we can't work around them. So please stay out of the way and let our road department do its work, and we'll do our best to make sure that you have safe roads that you can travel this winter.
It sure got awful slick the other day, and people didn't think it was as bad as it was. And there was a car hit a big rock wall right in front of my house, and I mean, it tore it all to pieces. I don't know whether anybody's hurt in it or not, but watch out for them slick spots.
Please use caution, and if you have something to report, you can call our office or the road department. And like I said, if there's an emergency, please call 911. And with that, we'll bring up 911. Aaron, if you've got something.
Please don't call you.
We just got some openings coming up with part-time. I'd like to ask the court to recommend Anna Meese, Brittany Jones, and Erica Bowen for position of part-time as needed basis.
Do we have a motion then to accept these part-time workers?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Can you give me those names again, please? Aaron?
Anna Meese, Brittany Jones, and Erica Bowen. Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to our solid waste. Danny, do you have anything today? Okay.
I just have 4 properties for cleanup. I have 2 that need to be mowed, and that's Hidden Loop Drive, Lot 47, and Windsong Drive, Lot 4 in Summit Point subdivision. And I have pictures of those, as well as 2 trailers on Suetta Drive. One is just a frame of a trailer that needs to be pulled out, and the other's a trailer that just needs to be finished being torn down.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. If this property is cleaned up, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. Thank you, Misty. Brings us to our animal shelter, animal control. And before we get to our treasurer, I don't want to forget Johnny Kane has got something to ask you magistrates.
I have a request for the park. We have several sites that we open up for seasonal rental. Currently, we allow people to rent seasonally from the beginning of April through when we close down what would be our peak season. And a couple of the people that have been there for the last few years have asked that we extend that season to where they're able to camp seasonally from the day that we open to the day that we close, which would be the 1st of April through mid-November. And I went to the Corps, asked the Corps if that would be a problem. They said it would not. And just requesting that we
How
do
much
that for them.
longer is that? How
Right
long?
now, they're in peak season, which I think peak season starts May the 15th
Okay.
and runs through, what is it? Is it early August? And
Mid-September, I thought.
That's right. It goes through Labor Day. That's right.
So you're looking at a couple more months?
About 2.5 more months for them. It gives some consistency for people to be down there, that they kind of act as watchdogs for us. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
But they just asked that they wanted to stay down there for the season as opposed to just for peak season. That's-
We have a motion to accept that recommendation.
Do we furnish electric and water and
Yes, yes.
everything for these
They're
people?
paying for the stay.
They're paying
Yes.
for the extended stay or just for the?
We've got a seasonal rate set for them, and they pay that up front. So it's a rental agreement that they have.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yep.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Johnny. Brings us then to Joan Isaacs, our treasurer.
This being the first of the month, excuse me, I'm not ever taking a flu shot again. You should have received your monthly bill list in the mail. I hope you've had a chance to review it. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary on there. A lot of blacktop.
Got a copy of the bill list. What would be your pleasure?
Judge, before you go, one thing that came in the mail yesterday, that with our judicial center, they have to do 2 inspections with their sprinkler system. One's a dry run, and one is 2 dry runs and 1 wet. And it's Landmark Sprinklers, and we need to ask the court for permission to sign this contract, which obviously this is reimbursed to the judicial AOC.
Well, that's not part, can we finish our bill list?
Well, I mean, this is a bill too.
Kind of
so-
jumped in through the bill list.
Let's go ahead and approve the bill list, and we'll do that.
Motion to approve the bill list? Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, now, as Mr. Price has asked, we need permission then to accept this contract to have the,
Yeah,
anybody need to look at this
it's
before
for
you?
the sprinkler system at the judicial center inspections.
But we are reimbursed.
Motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on that? Let Mr. Wilden have a chance to look at it.
Yeah, remotely.
Is this something that we normally?
Yeah, it's for annual.
It is.
Sounds like an annual
Yeah.
inspection.
We have to do it every
I
year.
just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Ah,
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
The next item I have for your consideration is the monthly bank reconciliation.
Got a copy of your bank reconciliation. What would be your pleasure there?
Motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The last item I have is a fund transfer to the road from the general fund.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The only other thing I would say is, it has been a good year for the county, a good calendar year. Of course, we operate fiscal, but, this being winter, we are going into a lean period. So, if we can just keep things down to a basic minimum. So, that way we can, until we hit, I know emergencies arise, but we are going into a lean period right now. So just we need to watch our spending for right now.
Just pray we have no big snowstorms, right?
Correct.
You sound like my wife.
Well, that's one thing. I was talking to the treasurer of the student government, and she said, well, we have no money. I said, well, I go through that too. So.
Yeah, we all do.
Okay. All right, well, the only thing I have left then is, typically we would have fiscal court on the 26th, which would be the fourth Tuesday of the month, but that is a scheduled holiday and the day after Christmas, and I would, suggest that if the treasurer has no objections, that we would cancel court on that day.
Motion.
The treasurer's gonna be off that day.
I just want to make sure you didn't have anything that, any year-end.
That day is, a scheduled holiday anyhow. The state has called that day as the holiday, so we're following the state's holiday schedule this year.
Okay, so we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then the next court meeting would be the second Tuesday in January at a regularly scheduled time. All right, well, we don't have any citizens on the agenda to speak today, so with that, I'll thank the Southern Middle government for coming today, and then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.